Hello, everyone. This is Tom, your host for the Hidden Truths channel. How's everybody doing this evening? Well, we're going to continue our series on understanding things about the American government, kind of like a civics class. Tonight, we're doing it on understanding the Declaration of Independence, which I should have did this a second one before I did understanding the Second Amendment. But yeah, the Declaration of Independence. That's what we're going to discuss tonight. So anyway, it should be a good time. Should have a few people in here, a few people that disagree with me, whatever the case may be. I really don't care no more, okay? Because there's a part of this kind of Declaration of Independence that, your duty, okay? I'm almost bound to the words. So we'll discuss that. Anyway, hey, how's everybody? See, somebody showed up. Good to see you. Yeah, this is we have a live stream on this channel every night. I try to do it every night about this time. Sometimes I can't. I'm busy. I got to take off. YouTube's not my job. I don't make the money off YouTube. This is just something I'm trying to do to spread the word and inform people what's going on. I feel it's my duty. If you can see what's the bad things in life, you need to tell other people. But anyway, we're going to discuss the Declaration of Independence tonight. A very important document. Important document to a lot of people in the world. A lot of people in the world wish that their founding fathers, their country, had come up with something like this. But anyway, it's not meaning much these days, is it? Anyway, we got a few people here. Let's get started on the discussion, understanding the Declaration of Independence. Okay, back during the colonial days, when the colonies were being created and all that good stuff, and we were becoming America, and America was becoming, in its own little way, a little powerhouse, right? You're controlled by England. France wanted its little part in it, so they had the French and Indian War. I am doing just fine. How are you? Anyway, good discussion. You're out of this country. Declaration of Independence. Good discussion to have. But anyway, during the colonial days, the colonists at first, they were doing good. They were governing themselves. They had their charters, which made their colonies and stuff, and the crown recognized these charters and let the people pretty much self-govern themselves. I'm French. Well, welcome. I appreciate everybody being here. Okay? But they were allowed to prosper and live their own lives. That's why they came to the North America. Nobody wanted to be here. That was from Europe. This is where all the people that, their subculture came to. Okay? And they blossomed. Well, when the colonies started becoming, a powerhouse. What I mean by powerhouse, they were making their own money. They were trading and stuff. They're basically their own little country within England. Okay, they were 3,000 miles away. I realized England had all over the world the empire the sun never set on. But America was a little different. Like I say, we came here. Our forefathers came here, and the ones that founded this country to get away from England. Okay, that was their main thing, to get away from Europe. Period. Just because they didn't have the technology they do now doesn't mean that they weren't just messed up. I mean, anybody who's willing to sit there and get on a ship for 3 months, if you're going to make it across, and then come out to the middle of the woods and then have nothing, nobody's there handing money or supplies to you, and you're making it out on your own, that's a pretty independent thinking person. And of course, that thought's going to be passed down to their children and stuff. But then the government, the English government, started, after the French and Indian War especially, maybe they thought the colonies should help pay for that war or whatever. They started hammering the colonists. And before then too, but it wasn't as bad, okay? Just like it would have been, you'd say, like in 1990 when I saw it, right? How things were going on. But then as it progressed, people got upset. And they did the legal thing. They petitioned and complained to the government because they had a right to do that. Just like we're doing now. We're trying to tell the government, hey, this is pissing us off. You need to knock this shit off, okay? Bringing their grievances to the government. Hey, Strictly Cycling, good to see you. Glad I got a moderator in. I am from Shanghai. You remind me of my old neighbor, Alfred. That wasn't Batman's butler, was it? Anyway, hey, I'm glad everybody's here from other countries because, like you say, you other countries didn't have the Declaration of Independence. You don't have the Constitution. You don't have a document that sits there and tells you that if your government's fucking with you, you have the right and the duty to throw them off, to get rid of them. Okay? What a wonderful document. But anyway, like I say, we're getting to the document. But the people of the colonies were going and telling the king, hey, this is messed up. And things were bad back then. There were a lot of things that were going on that were bad that the independent people didn't want to deal with. Okay? They were used to being free. And all of a sudden, like our country, all our people were free. And then they started feeling the yoke of the government coming down on them. And feeling the oppression and stuff. Just like we are today. And we're voicing our opinions to them. We're telling them, hey, we're using our First Amendment rights to tell them how we feel, to tell them how we want them to act. Okay? We give them the right to govern us. They don't have the right. They just don't have the right. We give them that right. And I'll get into that in the Declaration of Independence. But the colonists tried and tried and tried. And England just got worse and worse and worse. To where all of a sudden, the soldiers are raping their daughters, killing family members, and they're having show trials and nothing happens to them. Okay? The justice system was extremely corrupt because all the judges had to answer to the king. But they were living like that for well over 100 years in peace until the tyrant got King George in there, decided he was going to be a tyrant. What is this about, man? It's about understanding the Declaration of Independence, like the title said. Okay, so the colonies did all this. They tried to tell the king, hey, this is bullshit. They sat there, wrote their grievances down, all this stuff. It went over to England. Nobody cared because colonies were making money. And then when the king starts restricting who they can sell their goods to, if they're allowed to sell them at all, taking colonists that broke the law, their pretend made up shit, they sent them over to England, sent them over to England for trial. How do you have a trial by jury by your peers if your peers are 3,000 miles away? I mean, they're invading, I'll get into that Declaration of Independence. But, okay, and then the Declaration of Independence was their final straw. They had enough. Kind of like this Marine has had enough. And he's on social media spouting his mouth off, right? But they had enough. And they were going to tell the kings that with the Declaration of Independence in writing, like I'm here showing my face. Hey, this is how I feel. And this is what they were writing down. First, they went into why they had to do it. And what I mean by why is that people are governed, give permission to the government so they can govern us, okay? I can't remember how they stated. Like I say, the Declaration of Independence, they got it on audio. It doesn't take long to listen to it. But we give them permission to govern us. The government is formed from our consent. Not from their consent, from our consent. That's the big thing. The consent of the governed. I think that's how they put it. Okay? Like I say, the Declaration of Independence was after the Boston Tea Party, the Boston Massacre. Amazing, Boston, right? People, them, their daughters being killed and raped and having to quarter soldiers. It's bad enough you bring an army over here, but then you make the people that you want to say it, what were they protecting them? That you had to take them in and take care of them and stuff. Provide them lodging, a meal. Imagine a soldier knocking on your door. Hey, I need a bed. I need some food to make sure your daughter's in my bed. Now, we don't have the government doing that, but we do have illegal immigrants in this country that are not doing nice things to our daughters. Anyway, and then they went in on the Declaration of Independence, how it is for a people. I think they wrote this to show them how bad it's got, that a people will normally live in hell. They don't say it this way. They said it in a more elegant way. But people are afraid to break up their normalcy. They will live in it. They're normal and accept it up until they can't take it no more. Up until when a large train of abuses and usurpations pursue inevitably the same object, which is total control of the people. Total control. England was trying to control the money, control the trade, everything. Take away the charters that the states had made with the English government. They were null and void. The people were oppressed. They felt it. Big time. Especially the rich. See, this is the difference in society today. Ours movement's going to have to be from the ground up, because our upper echelon, they don't feel no hurt, because they start hurting, they just take money from us, or they just print more money. Remember, too big to fail? That means they're always protected. So that's why you're not going to have John Hancock, like Bill Gates, signing the Declaration of Independence, okay? And you're not going to have the distinguished and the rich and the influential people. That was something for the lower. I say we had the founding fathers and the founding citizens. That gave something the founding citizens to follow. The founding fathers, the rich and the influential. But they wanted the same thing that the simple American wanted, left alone. But see, back then the average little citizen in the colony didn't have money like the rich guys did. That's why it hurt the rich worse. Okay. James is right. Please, you're beyond native if you believe we have ever lived in a democracy. No such thing. I never said a democracy. We live in a constitutional republic. Now, you people want to sit there and make derogatory comments. Maybe you should watch some more of my content. I never said one thing about living in a democracy. That's what our politicians say. And everybody who wants to follow our politicians. Don't worry. I'm going to do the Constitution tomorrow night. I just was going to do that tonight, but I figured it's best to stick with the Declaration of Independence, where all this came from. Boy, these people. But anyway, when this long train of abuses won't end. Like I say, when does a tyrant stop? When the people stop it. Okay, in the Declaration of Independence, they're talking about the people will sit there and put up with this shit, and put up with this shit, and put up with this shit, until finally they had enough. Till the long train of abuses have just got too much. And they see the goal of all this is complete control over the civilians by the government. Okay? And then, this is the line. Okay, I'm a Marine, a jarhead, all right? Before I get in line, if you like the content, please hit the thumbs up, the subscribe, and the bell notification. I need all the help I can get the word out. All the help I can. Okay? Because they're trying to bury it as much as they can. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not really watching the chat, so I can let I can tell you're a jarhead. Yeah, I'm pissed. And this is the line in the Declaration of Independence that commits me to doing something. Right or duty to throw off, when it says pursue inevitable the same goal. After they've screwed us over, the people have the right and duty. Duty. I'm a Marine. What do you think I hear when I say duty? Especially when it's given to us by the founding fathers. That's better than it, more important than any order given by any general today. Right or duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. That's the line that says it all. Okay? Before this, they were talking about why they had to separate, why we decided we need to separate from England and become independent from them, and then why we basically waited so long, but saying how we went through all the steps to try to bring our grievances to you people. I see in the Declaration of Independence why our Constitution was written the way it was. Okay, there's a lot of parallels to it. But yeah, as a Marine, what's that tell me? You know, people complain about the Republicans, right? Fair shake. Conservatives complain about the Democrats, right? That means nobody's happy with their frickin' ass government. But nobody's not that happy enough. We haven't reached that point for most people where they're willing to act on it. That's for people like me, right? For us Marines. And the vets, you know, the vets in all this country make up at least 10% of this population. I wish Texas would be its own country. Been waiting this for 20 years. Well, now with Abbott, you're not going to get it. But, you know, Texas is the only state that was its own country before it came to our, you know. But that would be interesting. You know, Texas could be the one to start it. How's our independence going to start? Like I say, we don't got leaders of the rebels or the patriots or the vets anymore. We don't have the leaders to come up and write up a Declaration of Independence and come together and present it to the government. And go independent how? Anyway, it's going to get crazy. But this is the thing the government needs to realize. This is one thing they don't realize. I mean, to tell me you are a politician, you are the President of the United States, you can't read the Declaration of Independence and see what it means? You can't tell that you're acting like a tyrant? And your actions are pretty much just like King George? And the people are feeling oppressed? And you have no clue? These people went to college, right? What, they don't feel oppression? Like, well, that's right, they're the ones doing the oppressed. But believe me, us little people are feeling the oppression. Watching you steal from us. Well, I mean, we're not talking taxes. Okay, their big thing was, you know, they want to tax people out without representation. The king wanted to get rid of, like I say, the colonies were kind of governing themselves for well over 100 years. And then the king wanted to take that away from them. Want to take away their representation. Want to dissolve their particular governance agencies they had. Anyway, crazy time. Crazy time. And people, I mean, these politicians can't see it. It says it right there, what the American people are supposed to do. No, what we're charged, like I say, charged to do it. And I don't mean charged like you've committed a crime. You're charged to act. And that's where it says duty. As a Marine, I got a duty to the Constitution and to this country and to my American fellow brethren. You know, not everybody took an oath. You wouldn't understand. But I did. And I joined the Marine Corps because I love this country. Back when Reagan was in office. I never thought in my wildest dreams when I got out that this country would turn into what it's turned into. And I'd actually be on social media talking that, hey, it's time to enact the Declaration of Independence. I mean, Trump wants to enact that Homeland Act or whatever, that Home Act or whatever, so he can put military on the streets. How about his patriots and vets invoke the Declaration of Independence? Sounds good to me. Do a backflip. Free P. Isn't he free? I mean, he's a real criminal. I mean, in Los Angeles, they obviously didn't haul him off to jail. When the taking the military into D.C. to fight crime. Like I say, you petty little criminals don't stand a chance against the swamp creatures. Anyway. But, a lot of countries, I guarantee you, wish they had the Constitution, wish they had the Second Amendment, wish they had founding fathers that came up with the Declaration of Independence. I mean, like I say, we got a document that says, hey, the government's being retarded, won't stop, and they're pursuing the same objective, which is to dominate and rule and take away the freedom from all Americans. All Americans, all Americans. Anybody who's on the mega train, I don't know what to tell you. Birds of the same feather, buddy. Birds of the same feather. Wings of the same bird, I'm sorry. Wings of the same bird. And that's what we're dealing with. I mean, are you ready to do what the Founding Fathers charged you to do? Are you willing to sit there and make the sacrifice so future generations can live free like they did before us? I mean, I still remember what it was like to live free, where there weren't all these cops on the road, where you kids could play outside at night and not be afraid about being abducted by people that are on the list that don't exist. This is the worst thing. Our government's lying the shit out of us. It's stealing from us. It's victimizing all of us. And people are wondering, boy, do we really have the right to take out the government, to put in new guards? Do we really have the right to do that? And like I say, in the Declaration of Independence, it talks about that, how people won't act. They'll deal with it, and deal with it, and deal with it, and petition, protest. And hopefully one day the politicians will wake up and hear us. But there comes that time when they don't. And that's where you get the Declaration of Independence. Anyway, I really wish our politicians could read the son of a bitch. I mean, it's real short. It's not a 1,000-page bill that's screwing over the American and spending trillions of dollars. It's not that, not filled with pork. It's easy to read. It's easy to understand. Written in simple English. At least my education level is, okay? Maybe today's people might have a hard time understanding it. But, we got a job to do, America. We got a job to do, vets. I understand the Declaration of Independence. It says, it's telling me to kick this government's ass out of the chair and put somebody new in there that's going to take care, make sure they secure make sure I have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they're going to do everything to ensure that, my God-given rights. Anyway, If I wonder how many other countries, if they had a Declaration of Independence, where they could sit there and quote a line that says, "No, we're supposed to kick your ass out of here." It says it right here. It's in black and white. It's in writing. I can read it. Right and duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. Duty. Duty. Do you think the founding fathers, after what? Oh, this was before the war. But they wanted. They lived in hell. Flat out hell. I mean, it got to the point where they were shooting at each other. Now, I realize in this country, we're close to shooting at each other, not the enemy, which would be the government. Okay, at least in the Revolutionary War, we were fighting the real enemy, the British Crown. Nowadays, we're going to be fighting each other, like the Civil War and stuff. And then we fight our Civil War, and then after we kill each other off, then the powers that be will still be in power, controlling everything and having their way. Still on with the list that don't exist and stuff. Our enemies in D.C. Okay, our Declaration of Independence needs to be directed at D.C. Has it come time for that? I think it has. And we got lots of people on YouTube and social media platform just telling the government, stop this, stop this, stop this. Or admit to the truth. I mean, we're divided on, is there a list or isn't there a list? Dividing the Republican Party. And I tell you what, the founding fathers never thought once that it was a good idea for the ones who govern us, you know, the ones we give consent to govern us, to break the law like they do. Yeah, we give them permission. Nobody's taught civics or government anymore. Nobody. You know, because being independent, like, is a double-edged sword. If you fail, you know, times are tough. And there's nobody there to make it fair. Okay, that just tells me, if we need the government to make things fair, that just shows we're not equal. Okay. Nobody. Then vote for me, the next president. What would you do as president? You know, that's one job that, you know, if you're thin-skinned, which Trump is, thin-skinned, and you got at least half the world that hates you every given day, bad job to have. Especially when you can't read, you know, the documents that created this country. American dream. Yeah, what is that now? I live, like I say, I still live a relatively quiet, free life. I don't have to worry about much. We don't have crime here. We don't have illegal immigration. Like, well, I'm sure we do, but we just don't see it. Well, because nobody's going to hire illegals around here. That's one way to stop illegal immigration. Just don't hire them. People in this area won't hire them, so we ain't got to deal with them. Plus, we ain't got the housing to deal with them anyway. Good morning. Where are you at? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm glad this is an international broadcast. Like I say, how many of your countries out there would love to have our Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, which handcuffs the government, okay, in our Second Amendment? I mean, over there in Europe, you're not even allowed to have a toy gun. Sleepy Joe, yeah, well, he's out of there. I don't know what's happening to Trump. But I just want to, like I say, I wonder how people really look at America. Do they look at us like we're a really screwed up country and Americans have gotten so lazy that they don't want to do anything about it? That they become so complacent? That's what I'm starting to feel like, the part of the Declaration of Independence, where people will fall in line with the tyranny because they don't want to interfere there with their daily lives. They're willing to take the abuse. And some people just aren't up for taking shit from nobody. And one of them would be me. Okay? Trump is being blackmailed. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You not only being blackmail people, you can see the strings from the puppet master. It's so obvious, okay? And where are those strings coming from? Oh, I think it's from ISREAL. Right? Anyway, it is obvious as heck. I mean, do you think that's what... Declaration of Independence, people. We give consent to the government to govern us. They're getting their consent from Israel? Like everybody would say, are we going to have war with Russia? Well, that will depend on what Israel wants. If Israel wants us to have war with Russia, we'll have war with Russia. Like I say, Netanyahu took the list back with him back to Israel and is doing a better blackmailing job than Jeffrey E. could ever have done. Anyway, we do whatever Israel wants. Yeah, it's getting sick. I was over in Israel in the 80s, people. It's way different than it is now. And Israel is just like us. Our countries have been hijacked. Hijacked! Anyway, they're never held accountable. No. Nobody is, except for you. You better wear your seatbelt. You better pay your taxes. You better not run a red light. You better not even look at a cop wrong, okay? Because you're an American taxpayer. So you must follow all the damn rules to the T. Because nobody gives a shit about your feelings. All I'm telling Americans is, what other authority do we need? Read the Declaration of Independence. Then, after it says about throwing off the government, then it goes into what the king and his men have all done to the colonies. Okay? And a long list of abuses. A long train of abuses. Okay? One thing is why the founding fathers, they didn't want a standing army. I hate to tell our politicians in the military-industrial complex, but that's completely against our founding fathers' philosophy. Okay? Because they had to deal with a military in the colonies that was pushing them around, that didn't care about their civilian authority or nothing. And that's why the founding fathers put the military under civilian authority. Okay? Instead of by the military governors of the colony. Diddy for American dictator. Calm down, alpha male. No, Lucy, I am a sigma male. Actually, I found that out. You know, I thought I was an alpha, and I found out, no, I'm a notch up from that. I'm a sigma male. I don't need the attention of an alpha male and all this other stuff. Look up sigma male, and you'll understand. That's why I can get on YouTube and piss so many people off. That's why I'm not afraid to say a goddamn thing. That's why I'm afraid. That's why I don't care if trolls get on here and troll me, because I'm thick-skinned. I'm confident in my abilities. Okay, I'm confident in myself. Nobody who's not confident in themselves is going to ruin me. I'm sorry. Too headstrong. Okay, Sigmas, our sons made up bullshit. Oh, I'm liberal. See, I love this shit. I'm a constitutional conservative. That means I don't like either frickin' party. You know, so I got liberals hounding me, and so you got the liberals at 25% on this side that's hounding me. I got the mega Republicans that are hounding me even worse, okay? And then I got the 50% in the middle, which far exceeds you guys in your comments. See, the thing is, you liberals and you mega Republicans, no matter how, when you get in office and stuff, you're still the minority. You're still the minority. You're not the majority. You're the minority. You just happen to be the majority in Washington, D.C. at the time. You understand? And then if we lived by a constitutional republic, it wouldn't matter because then you would be handcuffed. You'd have to obey the Constitution, and it wouldn't matter who's in office. Anyway, can you shout out my friend? Why chain yourself? You have a wolf shirt on. Yes. This is Lone Wolf Prepper Lives. I used to have a channel called Lone Wolf Prepper. And because we live in such a free country and they don't have a problem listening to our grievances, that channel got canceled. They got the Alex Jones treatment. Okay? So now I got Lone Wolf Prepper Lives as my prepper channel. I separate the two, and Hidden Truths is my political statement channel. Okay? But yeah, this little guy with, absolutely nobody listened to me, right? Scared the pants off of Jeffrey Bozo so much that he had to cancel my channel. Yep. That's what happens when you spout the truth. That's why on this channel, if you could help the channel up by hitting that thumbs up and subscribe and the bell notification, because I'm not out here to make money or sell anything. I'm here to get the word out. And the best way to get the word out is having the channel grow, sharing my content, especially my shorts. Believe me, I ain't afraid to say shit to these sons of bitches. People are like, oh, you better watch what you say. You may have a FBI or ATF show up at your door one day. For what? Exercising my First Amendment? Would they rather exercise my Second Amendment? And this is what happens. This is why we got the Second Amendment. They gave us the First Amendment, like the founding fathers and citizens did. Tried telling the king and all his men, hey, knock this shit off. Knock this shit off. Knock this shit off. We're not liking this. It's going to lead to violence. And they didn't listen. Kind of like our government's not listening. So then they started with their guns, their muskets. The Constitution, like I say, was the mindset of the Constitution did start in 1781 after the Revolutionary War. The concept and a lot of stuff in the Constitution started before the war, how they were treated. And that's why people today can't understand the contents of the Second Amendment. Why do we need the Second Amendment? Because the founding fathers and citizens just fought a war against a tyrant to make them free. And people say it's about home invasion and stuff. Really? Then when Thomas Jefferson was talking about the tree of liberty needs to be watered with the blood of tyrants and patriots every 20 years, that's why we got the Second Amendment. I don't think he was talking about home invasions. But then again, our government's police forces are allowed to do home invasions as long as a judge signs on that little line. Right? Basically, another judge beholden to the king. The time's coming, people. The time's coming. More people are going to be feeling this. Boy, I tell you what, I wish everybody would read. If you're on here, read the Declaration of Independence or get the audio and listen to it. And tell me, this is where we're at. We've done everything possible. I mean, look at January 6th. Had a protest in Washington. The first time in that year that the Republicans had a protest after the Democrats burnt cities down for Trump. And what happened? They got thrown in the Washington, D.C. gulag after Biden came to office. Yeah, that's another thing, Trump. Biden didn't have a problem rounding up all the January 6th protesters he wanted to arrest in the first 100 days, did he? But you don't have one arrest. Oh, that's right. The lists don't exist. It's on her desk. We got truckloads of evidence. I'm tired of this shit. This Marine's ready to go. Say, it's my duty government. And if you're listening to the government, Mr. Government, it's my duty. You guys are not following the Constitution in D.C. You are not doing the wishes of the people that you govern, the ones that give you the consent to govern us. We have every right to kick your ass out of Dodge. But see, they've committed so many crimes that they're going to have to be brought into court. Treason, child trafficking, pedophilia, you name it. But don't worry. Why do we really have the authority and really the right to throw these people out of office? Man, can you imagine what that would do? I mean, gas prices might go up to $10 a gallon. I'd rather stay a slave and pay $3 a gallon. Like I say, help this channel whatever you can. If you can get out there and start spouting it, spout it. Tell your neighbor, hey, guess what? I'm not your enemy, buddy, and you're not my enemy. Even though the politicians are saying that, look at D.C., they're our enemy because you're suffering just like I am. Start talking about everyday stuff that you struggle with, and you're going to find out he does the same thing. He or she does the same thing. And you'll find you have more common ground than the politicians want you to let on that you have. I tell you, these politicians, like I say, I mean, if I was a reporter, there's a couple questions I'd ask. Oh, Mr. Trump, you say the lists don't exist. So are you telling me that no worldwide international child trafficking ring exists that caters to rich, powerful elites of this world? Are you telling me that don't exist? Who are the reporters with balls that used to corner politicians verbally and make them basically tell the truth? What happened to those people? So Epstein offered himself knowing there was a no list. Yeah. He offed himself because he downloaded child porn all by himself and nobody was involved. See, not only do most Americans have a short-term memory, but most politicians can't remember what lie they told the hour before, okay? I can. I can remember a lot of stuff. Like I remember somebody saying the list was going to be released on the first day. Anyway, well, let's not go into that because according to Mega, he didn't really say that. Anyway, yeah, he's lying. True. And like I say, there's Democrats and Republicans and independents that aren't going to listen to the lies. Okay, nobody's required to tell the truth, but nobody's required to believe a lie. Nope. And I said, don't believe the lie. You want to sit there, you don't need us no more. You've been duped. You've been tricked. I don't remember during the election cycle the Democrats talking about the Epstein list. I remember Trump talking about it, but I don't remember the Democrats talking about it. Am I wrong there? Anyway, the Declaration of Independence, everybody, a great document. A great document that the government needs to be introduced to again. Maybe in big words. Maybe that's one of you rich conservatives can do. Take over a couple billboards, those electronic billboards that they have, and start running the Declaration of Independence across it. One, in routes that you know politicians are going to take so they can read it. They need to be exposed to this. Not only saying, yeah, we know what it says. No, read to them. I love a reporter to sit there during questioning and read the Declaration of Independence. And then ask the blonde up there and say, hey, do you think the American people maybe have, a duty to throw you sons of bitches off? I'm willing to fight next to a liberal Democrat if they believe in the Constitution and freedom like I do. Maybe your idea of what Your lifestyle is a little different, but all freedom-loving people. Like I say, there's a lot of people are done with this. And all you people that are in the minority in some groups and stuff, and you want your democracy, but you're the minority, remember when the democracy takes over the majority, they can get rid of your minority real quick and make it illegal. And that's what these people will do. Anyway, all I know is, as a Marine, I read the Declaration of Independence, and I see what's going on. Our founding fathers explained themselves explicitly, both why they had to do it and what they were going to do, okay? And their thoughts on how government should work, okay? Pretty easy in black and white, pretty easy. So anyway, I'm really interested in what you're saying about the democracy. I really love the saying about the democracy. We're not a democracy. Like I say, in this country, we got the Democrat democracy and you got the Republican democracy. That means depending on who gets voted in office, either you're a sheep for a while or you get to be a wolf for a while. And if you got your party doing tyranny on the other party and you're all fine with that, you don't understand the Declaration of Independence. If you're afraid to sit there and call out your side for being wrong when they're wrong, I mean, if I'm going to sit here and say the Democrats are messed up by doing this, you know, I got to give same time to the Republicans. But right now, I mean, you don't even hear the Democrats really bashing Trump anymore because Trump's doing a good enough job of making himself look bad. Why would the Democrats interfere with the Republicans fighting amongst themselves? Why would the Democrats interfere knowing that Republicans probably aren't going to come out in big numbers to vote for a while? Not after getting kicked in the gut like this. Anyway, Declaration of Independence, people. It's almost time. And like I say, our government's not going to turn around. Their objective is to completely enslave the Americas. You know, freedom is too dangerous for the average person to have. Only the elites can have that. They got to curtail our freedom and enslave us and everything else. There's nothing good for us on the end, okay? I can't believe that some human beings, a human being just like me, could have that type of mindset where they just feel like they're king of the world. They can do whatever they want to anybody they want. And if you stand up to them, oh, you're just a bad person. Just like the U.S. can go bomb any country they want. But if that country were to react and bomb us, like, you know, I don't care. Let's say we sent a bunch of planes to bomb a country, and that country took out the aircraft carrier those planes took off from. Would that be fair? But you can't do that. You can't, because that's bad if you stand up to the United States. I mean, if we want to drop bombs on you and kill your citizens, that's fine. But the second you want to stand up to us and say that's not the right thing to do, you're bad. I mean, I like Maduro in Venezuela. Did you hear about this? Venezuela recognized the state of Palestine, right? So Trump goes, well, I'll give $50 million to anybody who arrests Maduro and brings him here, right? And then Maduro came back and said, I'll give $50 million to anybody who gives me the real Epstein list. Boy, you're not hearing a word out of D.C. now, are you? That's like calling them a racist. That's a shut-up card. You say Epstein, it's like, shut up, we don't need you. That's old news. I thought it was if it's old news, I thought it was made-up list. You know, I don't care if Trump walks on water. To me, since he's part of the ring, won't really, and so won't start arresting these people, these criminals from all over the world. He's a product of the devil and works for the devil. I don't know how else to say it. I don't care how much good you do. All it takes one stupid, nasty, dastardly deed to make that all bad. And he's still not doing anything good. Okay? We're just going to have just many illegals in this country when he gets out of office. Still going to be screwed up. Except we're going to have a little bit more control because AI and, all this infrastructure is going to be set up to completely control us. This is the thing, people. We need to act on the Declaration of Independence now. Before we really don't. We can't organize. Or they can put down dissent real quick. It can never get started. Yes, the Patriots, the Founding Fathers were a bunch of rebels. But they're a rebel with a cause, okay? And I feel that same calling, that same cause, that same, I'm not going to be oppressed anymore. I'm not going to listen to this bullshit no more. I'm not going to be lied to. And I'm not going to be governed by a bunch of fucking criminals. No way. No way. People that need to be, the death sentence, a lot of them, are not going to sit there and tell me how to live, how to be a moral person, what I'm not allowed to do. Okay, I know the Constitution. I know the Declaration of Independence. Hey, security here? I didn't even see him. Anyway, 71 years old, Marine, yet locked and loaded. Hey, devil dog. I love talking to devil dogs. I'm a Marine too, sir. Marine too. 8 years from 86 to 94. Ground pounder and stuff. Locked and loaded, you goddamn right. And then they tell us, you should get excited. Really? I always tell them, how the fuck is a Marine supposed to act? How? Like I said, when you're in the Marine Corps, right, your higher ups are telling, yeah, we got to go on this mission, but just calm down. Don't be so excited. We can talk these things through. We'll solve the problem. This is beyond stupid. Semper Fi, yes. That means always faithful. Like I say, always faithful. Duty to throw out the government and provide new guards for our security. Anyway, us Marines, we understand. We got to see the worst parts of the world. We got to understand that the world kind of fucking sucks. And we were really spoiled living in the United States. Extremely spoiled. The average American has no clue at all what goes on in the rest of the world. No clue. And, like the 71-year-old Marine there and me, there's no fucking way we sacrifice what we sacrifice so our country can turn into what we saw. Like I say, they sent us always overseas so we would never have to deal with it. Why are we over here fighting it? So you don't have to fight it on your own soil, right? That's what they tell us. And now they invited the shit in, and now that we want to fight against us, we're the ones that need to calm the fuck down. Talk about abortion. Let me tell you what I feel about abortion. I'm against it. But I don't believe that I should be able to, it's freedom of choice in this world. And my choice shouldn't infringe on somebody else's choice. But when you make that choice, and you got to pay the consequences for that choice, don't blame anybody else. But I'm never going to sit there and judge you. It's not my position to judge you. Because I think a lot of women that do that, especially if they have kids later in life, have a hard time dealing with the guilt. Anyway, but like I say, we live in a society where you're allowed to pursue your happiness. God gave you freedom of choice, okay? And with that freedom of choice, you pay the consequences of that freedom of choice. I don't have to. This is another problem with today's country. Somebody else makes a bad decision, I got to pay the consequences for it. More laws are passed. More of my rights are taken from me. Right? Because they're going to try to legislate us into a world where nobody ever gets hurt or does anything bad to one another. Okay. If you can do the deed, take responsibility. Yeah, exactly. Like we were probably all I was brought up that way. I never got off for any stupid shit I did. I got called on all of it. And then you learn your lessons, be like, hey, this ain't exactly the right way to live life, the hard way. Making sure I'm punching myself in the face all the time. Right? But yeah, held responsible for your actions, but there's no list, people. Could you imagine just being the worst fucking human being ever and just doing terrible, terrible things to children, knowing that nothing will ever happen to you? And they're in the people that are just as despicable as you are going to use that as to blackmail you to do stuff? Why don't somebody just come out and tell the truth? I wonder why Putin's not on the list. Wonder why Xi Jinping's not on the list. I wonder why Maduro's not on the list. It sounds like a lot of these high-ranking fucking people that just want to destroy the whole world aren't on the list. And a lot of people that are supposed to be peace-loving and stuff and righteous, moral people are on the list. The West is as corrupt as you can freaking get. That's the problem. And all these crimes these people are committed, the average guy can't commit it because we're not rich or powerful enough. You got to be an elite group to be able to commit those crimes. That's not just for your average criminal, okay, who's rotting on death row. No, that's just a small guy. We're the big time party. What I truly believe is that one day everything will still come to the end with God. All these people, they're doing God's work. Even their evil work is part of God's work. I just don't understand how much more evil it's going to get. Like I said, see, we've been on for almost an hour now, 57, 58 minutes. How many kids have been thrown in vans to be put into sex slavery or sacrificed by these sick bastards? Sorry about my language, but when I'm talking about this, it pisses me off. Like you say, we got a document. Declaration of Independence. That says, this is what you need to do when your people that are governing you become absolute criminals. Okay? First layer of security down there. He's the first layer. Always watching. Anyway, but how many children have been taken? And Trump just don't seem to care about it. But he's going to call it the National Guard to liberate Washington, D.C. from the criminals. Why didn't he do that in 2017? Call the National Guard in there to help him drain the swamp. Boy, that would have been a good thing to do, wouldn't it? The timing about this seems all too weird. It's like they're pushing it so fast. Like they're running out of time, like there's a time limit on something. Like the finish line's coming up and they're not prepared for it yet. Anyway, I heard that Trump is related to the Kennedys. You know what? Our politicians are becoming like royalty. They're all related. Okay? Remember, World War I was fought against cousins. Grandsons of Queen Victoria fought World War I against each other. And now our politicians are becoming the same way. I mean, we can't elect anybody unless their name's Clinton, Kennedy, Bush, Trump. I mean, our political class is becoming its own little royalty. I mean, you're not allowed to sit there and say anything, tell them what the crimes they commit and stuff. Booker, are you really going to go like that? Are you really going to do that? You know what, Booker? You put your pants on the same way I do. You're subject to the same laws I am. Just because you're in Congress should make you, even people in Congress that break the law should be held to a higher standard. Should be more punishment should be offered to them. Because they were put in a position of trust and they betrayed that trust. So that should also be part of the sentence. Okay? Nothing to be sorry about the truth. Don't have anything to do to be compared with even your dogs are angry too because you are angry. Check out the action of the dog and see the dog's reaction then to you. Yeah, well, let me tell you something. You know, he's excitable. He's my first layer of defense. If you think he's excitable, wait till you have to deal with the second layer of defense. That would be me. You're going to find out what excitable is. Okay? A lot of ways to making a Marine excitable. Okay? And it can happen like that. Anyway. So, but don't worry, I know how to train dogs. I like him that way because the world's becoming a very unsafe place. All right? It'd be nice if instead of American citizens being on edge once, where the American politician was on edge, always worrying if the citizens were going to band together and march on D.C. Wouldn't that be nice if the politicians worried about that every day instead of us worrying about whether the government's going to show up at our doorstep or not? Wouldn't it be nice if the government had to worry about us showing up at their stores to simplify YMOS, what year's duty station? I had several MOSs. I was in the first 4 years, my enlistment, I was in the ground side. I was based out of Camp Lejeune. I was in a deploying unit. We were gone all the time. And then they disbanded our battalion because they didn't need us no more, right? That's what they always do, right? So I had to lat move. If I want to stay in, I had to lat move. And they were starting up some new airborne artillery stuff. They wanted me to be a new NCO in that. I told them, I lived out of a sea bank for 4 years. I was always deployed. The longest time I was ever in the same rack at one time was when I was on ship. I mean, I wanted to sit there and have, not that I say it was the right decision now, but I want to be able to have a girlfriend. That type of stuff. So I moved and went into the airway and got my education. Got my degree in electronics. And I got 4 MOSs in the airway. And I excelled. I did a lot of great things. I did a lot of stuff that Tom Security and Chat be well. Oh, okay, thank you. I appreciate you being here. It's already over an hour? God, I get on YouTube and I start talking and it's an hour's gone by already. Well, okay, yeah, Strictly Cycling, he's on the East Coast, so he's probably getting a little tired. I'm here in the Mountain Time Zone. But anyway, stop yelling, we can hear you. I talk loudly. You know, this is the thing. If that hurts you, what are you going to do when shit gets really fucking tough? If me yelling at my phone or talking loud or however you want to call it offends you, how are you going to do it when bombs are going off in your neighborhood and bullets are cracking and you're running for your life? Americans have gotten way too fucking soft. And Marines talk a certain damn way. And if you don't like it, I don't know. But that's the type of way people talk that makes sure you're safe all the time, okay? The ones protecting your freedom. But then again, if you never went to Marine Corps boot camp, you won't understand what they turn a civilian from a civilian into a Marine, what that process is like. And then boot camp was the easiest part of my first 4 years. It just got harder after that. Anyway, this guy would be hiding behind me. We got to say it in the Marine Corps. Lead me, follow me, or get the fuck out of my way. Boy, that's a troll if I ever heard a troll. Like I say, all you got to do is watch some other content, buddy. Hide behind you. Okay. Okay, that's the first thing a Marine does, is hides behind a fucking beta male. That's what's wrong with the country. I mean, you got some guy on YouTube sitting there telling that he's willing to sit there and defend and support even the most liberal asshole to make sure he can stay a free American. And I got somebody saying I'd hide behind him. Really? That's what they taught me in the Marine Corps, right? That's what I experienced in the Marine Corps too. Cowardliness. Must be a Call of Duty warrior. Anyway, but what do? America's gotten soft. That's why a lot of Americans don't want to stand up to this. They'll sit there and stay in their rut, and stay in their rut, and stay in their rut. And I hate to say it, but even you trolls are going to be affected by the shit. Okay? Stolen valor. Oh, now we're getting big time. Hey, go check out my post, asshole. And you might see a picture or two of me during the Marine Corps in there. And if you don't like them, go to my Lone Wolf Prepper Lives and check out those posts. Oh, I'm sorry. That was stolen valor, huh? I don't know what to tell you. You know, I experienced stuff that your pussy ass could never experience. Ever. But anyway, that's the life I lived. You know, I wasn't sitting behind my mommy's room and I'm going to go to college and party for 4 years and get out and live off mommy and shit and all that other stuff. But fine with your stolen valor. I'll still be on here. But see, the thing is, everything I say, I can prove. Well, how are you going to prove that? Like I say, you saying I wasn't in the Marine Corps? Are you trying to say I wasn't a jarhead? I still am a jarhead. That's why we're all a little crazy. Can I call you? Sure, call me whatever. You know, I watched some guy. I know this guy who he wasn't on YouTube, but he was on social media. He's a gamer. And he actually had some guy come to his residence and take a shot at his ass. Because he cut him off. He cut him off his channel. I can't believe some liberal troll would be dumb enough to come up to me. Like I say, just watch my videos. I'm not even going to say anymore. I'm not going to defend myself. Just watch my videos. Okay? I don't give a shit. I know what I can do. I know what I've done. And I know what needs to be done. But anyway, you got a lot of people in here that just want to... all the sacrificing I've done. And other people I know have done. For pieces of shit to be able to come on here and just insult us. Call of Duty warriors. Call of Duty warriors. Yeah, I'm pretty good at that game. I got it down. Anyway. But the Declaration of Independence is going to come. And our country's leaders are going to be introduced to it again. Okay? And then we'll see about stolen valor. You know, being insulted like that, it hurts in a way because these assholes could never sit there and take 2 steps that you took. I mean, I watched a video of this fucking piece of shit liberal that was biking across his 2,000-mile bike trip across country. and at 1,000 miles, boy, I'd like to see a Marine do this. Really? Really? You mean after you're so tired you're going to die and you kept fucking going? I have no governor no more. I don't know how to stop. I have pushed my body past death and kept going. Without drugs or nothing like that. Just because it was my duty. Don't get in between a Marine and his mission. It could get deadly for you. But anyway, you get these trolls on here that hide in their mommy's basement. You'll never see their face. But they, they're big men. They get on their keyboard. Mommy, can you put some Skittles on my toast, please, before you bring it down? Beta males that have never been forced to prove their manhood. Never. And you got a piece of shit YouTuber like that cutting down a 58-year-old Marine. Well, not 58 yet. I got 12 more days to go. I'll be 58. But don't worry. The younger generation, they got it. They got it. They had it so much tougher than us. That's why they're so much weaker than us. Because they had it tougher than us. You understand that, right? But anyway, it's just, this is what it leads to. If everybody could get on the same page, see, that's somebody who probably supports the government. Supports, I need the government to make things fair for me. I have no ability to do that myself. You know what we were taught when we were growing up? Life isn't fair. It's only as fair as you make it. And then it's still not fair. Okay? So if you got to handcuff me to make your life fair, you obviously don't understand what America's about. And this is what I've been doing on this series. Understanding the American mindset. From the Minuteman to Rosie the Riveter, okay? To the people that crossed the plains and went to California and covered wagons and that stuff. Okay? That mindset. And then understanding the Second Amendment. That's a big one for people. Oh my God. Shall not be infringed. I mean, if they don't even understand that, they're not going to understand the Second Amendment. But a well-regulated militia, we do have that. That's called all us vets. A well-regulated militia. So remember that, government. We do have a well-regulated militia that is armed and ready to act against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So all this stems from this no list shit. I will not be governed by a bunch of criminals. I mean, this is worse than the mob or gangsters being in charge of us, shaking us down. Oh, we got this new budget we're going to pass. We just got to tweak taxes a little bit. Our founding fathers would have never been for the Federal Reserve. Income tax. I mean, let's say we had four departments. We had the Department of State, the Department of War, the Department of Treasury, and the Attorney General. 4 cabinet positions. How many we got now? I think it's 26 or 27. Sounds like a little bit of government intrusion. Yeah, hell, we got them in our semis. We got them in our tractors. We got them in our bedrooms. We got them at our border, except if you're illegal. You're in, what's your dog doing? He's just sitting here watching me. He's always watching. Consistent. Watching. That's what, see, if you know anything about training dogs, the first thing you do when you train a dog is you teach them to heel. Why? Because then they're trained to always watch you. They're always watching you. And he's just a little bit protective. So anyway, that's all I got for this evening. Like I say, read the Declaration or listen to the Declaration of Independence. And tell me we ain't at that point. Tell me we haven't done everything we can to tell the government that we've had enough. Okay? So we'll see what comes of it. But I know I'm there. Anyway, anybody else there? But I'll see you guys tomorrow night. We'll talk about understanding something else in the government, whether it's a constitution or not. I haven't figured it out. But anyway, everybody have a great evening. I'm glad you were here. And like I say, hit that thumbs up, that subscribe and the bell notification if you like the channel. And check out my other content and spread my shorts. My shorts, not my pants. But share them. We need to get a lot more people woken up. And if we just drill people with the truth, nonstop truth, they'll eventually get it. Like I say, the happiest person in the world is somebody who went to bed. I won't even say liberal no more. That doesn't even make sense. Somebody who went to bed thinking that the government was the answer to everything and woke up knowing that the people, were the answer to everything. Anyway, everybody have a great night. I appreciate you being here. This is Tom with the Hidden Truths channel, and I will talk to you guys later.